What is up, guys? I'm Mikey31 here. So we have what 3.5, 4 weeks till Madden 19. Figure just to have a little bit of fun and kind of kill some time. I will live stream a offline fantasy draft CFM here. I'm gonna use the Jacksonville Jaguars for that. I mean, you guys see me use the Jets all the time. When I give the Jags some love, and again, fantasy drafts, so the players aren't going to be, you know, base roster guys. They're going to be guys who I'm going to be drafting. So yeah, it'll be neat to have some fun, just kind of kick around some offline CFM. Found a nice set of all Madden sliders that I really like. So it'll be a nice little diversion. So anyway, here we go. Going to be talking about just some fantasy draft things that I like to do when I do conduct a fantasy draft in a CFM. I like to do that in the offline franchise modes I do play. I like to create a little virtual fantasy land and see how things play out. I'll talk about some team building guidelines I like to follow. Talk about some Meta 19, I guess, news and notes, I suppose. I can't really talk about the beta that recently ended. I took part in that. I can't really share impressions as far as the nuts and bolts as that is concerned. But guys have been talking about things such as the rookie ratings that have been released and all of that good stuff. I'll dive into that a little bit, and I think that'll be a good thing to talk about as I walk you guys through this fantasy draft a little bit. And really, when I do this, I have a couple of team building guidelines I like to follow. One, I have to have a quarterback that can sling the rock around downfield. I cannot abide these pop gun armed, candy cane armed QBs with these, punch and Judy deep balls. That's just not going to fly for me. And plus, running a spread, I'm going to need a guy that has some wheels. And at number 4, I'm going to have myself a pretty good pick of guys. And it's a snake draft, so it goes, 1 through 32, then 32 to 1, and back and forth, back and forth. But generally speaking, like to get the quarterback early. You better get the quarterback early, regardless of how you like to build your team, because the quarterbacks that are viable are going to be gone by early to mid third round. And then you're going to be a hurting unit as far as being able to find a quarterback that you can function with. So for me, I like to get a quarterback in the first couple of picks. For me, it's quarterback, pass rusher, corner. Those are the top three. Those are the heavy premium positions when you do a fantasy draft, and they go by the wayside pretty quickly. They fly off the board pretty nicely. Here, I'm going to go with Gerald McCoy here in the second round. I was kind of choosing between McCoy, Melvin Ingram, Everson Griffin, Yannick Ngakoue. I figured if I picked the ends first, McCoy wouldn't be there by the time it got back to me. So I ended up picking, I looked at Daniel Hunter here as well. And I'm not really a slave to the overall. I know what kind of scheme I want to play both on offense and defense. I'm looking for guys that fit how I like to play. Taking a little peek there at Kenny Clark, Kawan Short, athletic defensive tackles, speed edge rushers. Those are the things that I like. And I'm playing a 4-3. And, if I was playing a 3-4, outside linebacker, pass rush outside linebacker, and plus, even if I was playing a 4-3, you can convert your OLBs into defensive ends. That's not really an issue the vast majority of the time. So I picked McCoy, and now I'm looking corner, and the pickings are getting slim at corner already, as you can see here in round 3. So I figured let me get one right now. Don't fool around with that. I'm going to actually, I'm kind of like floating between Patrick Robinson and Kendall Fuller. They're pretty close. Kendall Fuller is a smidge faster, and I think he's a bit more physical as far as tackling is concerned. So I decided to go that route. It's always important to look for value in the younger players. You can pick a guy who may not be quite as good ratings wise as the more established veteran guys, but you can build him up and also surround him with better talent elsewhere. Those are things to consider as well. Look for values. Look for guys that have good potential to progress quickly with the XP that you accumulate with them. And over a season, you can turn them into a very good player,
The
top
Jaguars
flight
are now
player.
on the clock.
Now, with pick number four, I'm hoping there's an end left or a athletic pass rushing outside backer that I can convert to a defensive end and just, you know, have my inside outside pass rush tandem. And sure enough, I have my choice between Cameron Wake, I have Olivier Vernon there, Yannick Ngakoue, Robert Ayers. Wake and Ngakoue, Vernon are the ones that I'm looking at. I don't like Cameron Wake's block shedding at 69, although his pass rush moves are a little bit higher than Ngakoue's.
The
Ngakoue's is
Jaguars
not
are
that
now
great
on the
either. His
clock.
block shedding is only 67. Vernon's probably the most balanced out of the two there. Wide receivers you can wait on. There's so many wide receivers. You don't have to pick a wide receiver until around, I would say, round four, five, six. This is round five, and you see who's left. There are so many good guys that you can use. Tons of value at wide receiver. So many guys. And again, running a spread offense, I like to have my outside guys to be big, go up and get it guys. My inside guys be quick, catching traffic dudes. And I like to have a move tight end. If I was going run and shoot, I'd be going all in at wide
The
receiver here. My
Jaguars are now
next,
on the clock.
two or three picks. I'll be going spread, so I'm going to need a tight end. And I like to have my tight end in a spread offense be that versatile, athletic move tight end type. And Hunter Henry is just perfect for that. But again, here in round six, you still have some values there. You can wait on offensive linemen. The run on offensive linemen doesn't really
The
begin until
Jaguars are now
around
on the
10
clock.
or so. If this was a rookie draft in real life, offensive linemen especially offensive tackles, it's a premium position. Every year, what do you see go at the top of the draft, year in, year out? Quarterbacks,
The Jaguars are now on the
offensive
clock.
tackles, pass rushers, corners, year in, year out. Your safeties has become a pretty premium position as well, with how much is played in the league now. You need that dynamic playmaking safety that can do a lot of things, cover slots, cover tight
The
ends,
Jaguars are
and
now on the
be a
clock.
playmaker. So I'll throw that position in there as well. Dominant interior defensive linemen, they always go very high. So, in Madden, again, I like to go quarterback early, pass rusher, corner, and then look for my receivers. I don't look at linebackers until late. I like my linebackers rangy and athletic. You can get those guys in the middle rounds. I don't even consider a running back until around 15 at the earliest. There are so many running backs. As many wide receivers as there are that you can use, there's just as many running backs that you can just plug in there and be effective with. I think in this draft here, I drafted Thomas Rawls in the 20s. I mean, and Thomas Rawls is plenty good enough. Draft a guy like that, then draft another guy as a change of pace guy, third down guy, or a guy who can return kicks and punts, and be done with it. So those are some
The
NYK,
Jaguars are now on the clock.
draft tidbits. I'll probably go back into that when I talk about the rookie ratings and all that good stuff. But as far as the Madden 19 beta is concerned, I was pleased by the quality of the participation in the forums for the most part. That was
The
really my
Jaguars are
biggest
now on the
concern,
clock.
especially with how freely these beta codes are just being passed around. I didn't really like that at all. I thought the Madden 17 closed beta was handled much better as far as that's concerned. Because what I did not want to have happen was to have quality feedback diluted by a bunch of nonsense. People trying to clout chase on social media and not really contributing much of anything constructive. I left a lot of feedback. And I was pleased to see that the vast majority of the beta forum posts were thinking along the same lines as I was, as far as what needs to be fixed and cleaned up as it pertains to what it is going on the field. There were some eye roll posts here and there, but overall, the forums I liked. I was really pleased with what was going on in the forums, and that's really all that we can do. Leave sensible feedback, and see what happens from there. As we go ahead here and draft Mike Williams in round 11, like I was saying, the receiver pool is deep as the ocean, and I pick up one of the top rookie receiving prospects of the previous year's draft,
The
and I
Jaguars
get
are
him in
now on
round
the clock.
11. So you pair him with Jordy Nelson, you have two guys that can go up and get it on the outside, and you have an athletic tight end as well to complement those two. That's fine. That's plenty good enough. I mean, if you absolutely must have Julio Jones and you're a fan of a particular guy, go ahead and pick him. I mean, do what you want. But that's just my thought process and the way I kind of like to think through things. But if I did pick a guy like Julio Jones early in the first round, I'm definitely picking the quarterback right after him because Julio without the quarterback ain't gonna do you much good at all, is he? And that will segue nicely into the rookie ratings portion of the programming. The well, all the player ratings are going to be released. I think they said on the 9th, which is what this coming Monday or Tuesday. But the top rookie ratings were released earlier this past week. I wish I would have done the entire first round, just released them all. And the only reason for that is because what happens whenever you release a top five is that people will always say, well, how come so and so isn't in the top five? How come he's only number six or number eight or number, 10 or whatever? When really the difference between number five and number six or eight is maybe 1 or 2 points in overall rating. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It just creates unnecessary noise. But, it's fun to talk about. And going back to Mike
Jaguars are now on
Williams,
the clock.
who I drafted a couple of rounds ago, a guy like that is how I like to see rookies be rated. The Sim Standard Radio Show had a discussion about this. I included the link to the podcast, this past Thursday's podcast, in the description for those of you who didn't see it or haven't listened to those guys. Smith Ball Critic and Smitty, they do a radio show every week, and that
The
was one of the
Jaguars
topics
are
that they
now on the
discussed
clock.
was the rookie ratings. And there was some nice back and forth regarding different perspectives on how rookies should be rated. Personally, I'm of the opinion of
The
you give the
Jaguars are now
guy
on the
the
clock.
physical attributes that he deserves. Because if a guy is coming out of college and he runs a 4.3, he still runs a 4.3. He's not any slower just because he's not in college anymore. Those kind of things are not subjective. Now, where things get interesting is where you have guys who don't. You have guys who, when they test, what they test at doesn't match what you see on their film. I'll give you an example. Equiminius St. Brown, my buddy out of Notre Dame. Dude is 6'5", about 215 pounds, and he ran a 4.48, which was faster than what people thought he would clock. It was such a surprise that people thought that given his size that he might go into the first round. He didn't go until the later rounds. I think he got drafted in the sixth or seventh round by the Packers. So why? Well, people saw the time and people saw like, wait a minute, okay, he runs like this. Why didn't he play like this? So you go back, you watch the games, you see that he was in a pretty bad pass offense to begin with. Brandon Wimbush basically played like a running back, taking direct snaps. And then you start watching more, and you say to yourself, he doesn't really run too many routes. He runs slants, streaks, and funnel screens all day. He's not really a polished route runner. Then you start noticing that his speed is pretty much mostly straight line. Doesn't have the greatest change of direction skills on the face of the earth. And you start putting that all together, and you think to yourself, okay, yeah, he's got some raw ability here, but he's going to have to be developed quite a bit. And then you have a guy who slips. That's how that happens. Some guys come into the league more polished than others, depending on the quality of their coaching and the type of system that they play in. So stuff like route running and coverage techniques, ratings that have to do with that, I wouldn't really be overly generous with as far as ratings are concerned. But stuff that you can measure, like straight line speed, lateral quickness, vertical leap, bench press, physical strength, those things remain constant. And really, the only rating that I had an issue with was Baker Mayfield's throw power, which I think quite a few people had an issue with as well. And even in that discussion, guys who participated in it brought forth evidence that supported the case for that 95 throw power rating. It didn't change my mind, but it was at least a discussion that was based off of something factual. And at the end of the day, we're talking about the difference between a 95 and a 92. So there you go. I thought everyone else was rated just about right. Give Josh Allen 99 throw power if you want to. Virtually everyone agrees that he has the best throwing arm since Stafford, who's a 98. He can't hit the broadside of a barn, but wherever the pass ends up going, it'll end up getting there quickly and be thrown a great distance down the field. Just have
The
fun
Jaguars are
overthrowing
now on the
drags
clock.
by 15 yards with those throwing ratings, those throwing accuracy ratings in the 70s. So that's pretty much that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to live stream the games that I play with this team. I'll show you the final roster here in a little bit, and I might stream later on this afternoon or early on this evening, and just have some fun. Play some CFM, talk some football, talk some Madden, and have a little fun with this. Here's the roster. We got Cam. We got Thomas Rawls and Matthew Breida had to represent Georgia Southern there. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Receivers, Jordy Nelson, Mike Williams, Juju Smith, Schuster, and Terrell Pryor. Hunter Henry's a tight end. Did a nice little run on the offensive line. Nice and solid offensive line. We're going to need the run blocking for that inside zone running game. Got good old Zach Martin there on the right side. Right tackle's kind of weak, but you can't have everything. Yannick Ngakoue and Dominic Easley are my ends. Freeney's there for nostalgia and situational purposes. Gerald McCoy, linebackers, not nothing to write home about. They're pretty athletic, decent zone coverage guys who can't shed blocks and are mediocre tacklers. Kendall Fuller, Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Wilson, William Gay, Dwight Lowry is playing free safety, and Eric Weddle's playing strong. So that's pretty solid there in the back end for CFM purposes. So anyway, there it is. Hope you guys enjoyed. Talk to you all later. Peace.